So today I'm once again doing 20 damage straight to our opponent's face, this time cheating out some big frogs and flinging them at our opponents in the second video of my Every Combo in Standard series. Hey everyone, Hex here, and today I'm playing some Standard, looking to do a whole lot of damage out of nowhere and using Riggin to help us achieve this, which incidentally, as all enchantments have been recently, significantly more playable with the banning of Invoke Despair. Over the next few weeks I'm going to do a whole load of short videos to try and cover all combos in Standard, so if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button below to not miss out, and you may get to see some that you didn't know existed. I really appreciate all the support you give me for this channel. But onto this deck, and although it's been around a while, I've never covered Flingin Yargle, so let's see how easy it is to do in today's meta, and as a combo deck, it really needs to be on this channel too. Anyway, I'm sure you've seen this combo before, but to refresh, the deck basically revolves around Voldaren Thrillseeker. It's a 3-cost 1/1 vampire warrior with backup 2, and says for 1 and sacrifice, this creature deals damage equal to its power to any target. So there are many cool ways to use this card, but the normal target is to target Yargle and Multani, the 6 mana 18/6 Frog Spirit Elemental with Thrillseeker's backup ability, then sack it, doing 20 damage to your opponent. So the main sticking point with this combo is the setup and the mana needed to achieve that. This is why I'm using my favourite enchantment in Riggin to hopefully speed this process along. The great thing about Riggin is the counters it gives, so if Yargle is on the battlefield, the extra counters from Riggin will increase his power, giving you more flinging power, especially if the opponent may have gained a few spots of life here and there. So although I've got 4 copies of Archfiend of the Dross to enable Riggin immediately, which incidentally can be sacrificed with Thrillseeker if you are low on oil for a load more damage to your opponent, I'm only playing 2 copies of Shakedown Heavy. The card is great at blocking and enabling Riggin early, but I wanted to try and give the deck a slightly different angle, so I've gone for Phyrexian Obliterators 2. So cons, these are 5/5s and quadruple black, but on the pro side, an Obliterator with +1 counters barreling through is a big problem for our opponents. It means we have another way of winning if we don't have a Riggin or a Thrillseeker available. I'm obviously using Tail Swipe to hopefully combo here and clear the board for I guess a mini combo in the deck. Originally I had Bushwhack to help find the 1 red mana needed for Thrillseeker, but opted for Tail Swipe as it gives a +1 counter too and can be played as an instant. The other cards are ramp in Scrapgorgers and Gwennas. They don't typically survive much, so I haven't gone for too many ramp creatures. We have some protection with Tamiyo Safekeeping, which remember gives any permanent hexproof and indestructible, even enchantments, and we've got a couple of go for the throats. We've got many ways to remove creatures, but I want to be progressing my board as much as possible and not worrying about my opponents, so haven't gone for too much removal in this deck. We have a game plan and I want to stick to that. Got 24 lands here and that's the deck. Like I said, without Invoke Despair, enchantments seem so much better, and Thrillseeker is such a cool card, even if you're not always doing 20+ damage in one hit. Anyway, have a watch and let me know your favourite combos in Standard. I note them all down and I will be working my way through them over the next few weeks. Alright, on the play. Pretty nice hand, I'd say. We'll play our tap land and say go. So we just want to hit, probably land for the next couple of turns. Scrapgorger is fine. Opponent with Spara's Headquarters, alright, so a Bant deck. There's a whole plethora of different Bant decks at the moment. Okay, lay down on our Scrapgorger. That is fine by me. Well, no land for us, but we do have another Scrapgorger. Opponent finds their 3rd mana. Okay, we find our 4th mana, so what do we want to do here? Okay, whatever we do is probably going to be countered, so I'm just going to drop this Thrillseeker, get that counter out of their hand. If it doesn't, if they let this through, I'm fine with that as well. There it is. Make disappear, that's fine. So I'm glad we didn't play Riggin. I'm glad we didn't play the Obliterator. But, okay, opponent passes their turn. Make sure we get some value on our Scrapgorger, get an oil counter on it. Say go. Okay, another land is nice. That means we can play a 3-drop, and if they've got Make Disappear, we can pay for it. So we'll play Riggin. And what do we got here? Okay, well, they've got something in their hand. Soul Partition. They're going straight for Fight Riggin. Alright, well, maybe they should have waited for us to find something, because I'm just going to exile the Go for the Throat there, as I really don't care about that card in this matchup. But yeah, we get to cast the Fight Riggin again anyway. Opponent with Teferi. Alright, so slightly annoying card, but the way our mana is, at least there's a creature on the battlefield, so we can Obliterator and Tail Swipe if we need to, if we want to. But for a 2-2, I don't really know what that does. They just sack a couple of lands, and I'm sure they rebuild pretty quickly. What would be nice is if this 2-2 was a 10-10. That would be kind of sweet, actually. We'll play the Obliterator, and we'll just hold Tail Swipe. Hopefully they draw a load of cards their turn, and then we can combo with our Obliterator. So yeah, I did wonder how this matchup would work against these kind of control-y decks. As we can win out of nowhere, I do hope that if opponent has board wipes and things, it's not going to affect us too much. But their 2-2 is now a 4-4, so yeah, keep on drawing cards. That would be great with our Tail Swipe. What would be nice is if the opponent does like an end step Silver Scrutiny or something. Okay, there is a Swamp. Okay, yeah, I think we'll just go to attacks here. We'll try and kill Teferi. Okay, is a Wandering Emperor. Well, I think what we'll do here is use our Tail Swipe. We'll let the opponent we'll see what they're doing first. There we go. Now we'll target our Obliterator, target the 4-4. Okay, opponent didn't have any counter spells, and they are going to have to sacrifice 4 permanents there. So interesting to see what they do sacrifice. I guess Teferi is a good way to keep them in the game. I really was hoping that they were going to draw more cards and make that 4-4 much bigger. But opponent sacrifices their Wandering Emperor, a couple of lands. Gets to play Fight Riggin here. Hopefully a nice Yargle would be nice to go along with our Thrillseeker. There it is. Alright, so we just need a way to get probably the Scrapgorger up to a 7 power creature that we can combo here. Opponent with a Ambitious Farmhand. It's a pretty nice card since they've just lost all their lands. Half of their lands. Back up to 4. Make a 2-2, and there is our Archfiend of the Dross at the exact right time. Alright, so we don't quite have enough mana to do this all on one turn. I think, yeah, we're going to have to do it though. I just worry about a board wipe, but I think if opponent had a board wipe, they may have used it already. We'll attempt to kill Teferi here. They can double block if they want. Okay, they just block with their farmhands. Opponent loses 2 life. They go back down to 20, which is important as our Yargle can do 20 damage. But yeah, Archfiend of the Dross is just such a good card in this situation. I am expecting maybe a Sunfall here. They don't have it. Okay. I was almost certain they were going to Sunfall there. Alright, well this should just be lethal, shouldn't it? We'll play our Thrillseeker. Yeah, and we'll just pop the backup ability on Yargle here. And you know what? With so much power coming over right now, I do worry that the opponent might have a way to gain life here. So we'll put the Fight Riggin target on the Thrillseeker, which can always be sacked on itself to do an extra 2 damage. We'll just attack our opponent with everything. We'll let them do what they want to do before we respond with Yargle. It has to be some response. It is a Wandering Emperor, which is the window we need to sacrifice our Yargle and 20 damage to our opponent. That's exactly what I've been wanting to do. Alright, on the play here, we'll keep this one, a bit of ramp, and we'll play our Triome first, which comes in tapped. Opponent with a Mountain. Alright, well, I definitely want to get the Scrapgorger down now to try and fast track our way to get the Obliterator down. Oh, they're red-white. All right, well, they may not have a good, clean answer to deal with Obliterator early on, especially if their removal spells are damage-based. So the question here is now, do we play an untapped land, then play the Obliterator? I'm going to go for the Shakedown Heavy. I'm going to go for a tap land. Play it slightly safe. If they've got removal, I'd rather them use it on the Shakedown Heavy. They don't seem to be doing anything here. So, go to attacks. See what they want to do. 6 damage coming through. And they take it, okay. Well, I don't want to overcommit myself to the board. I think that would be a silly thing to do. So we'll just drop a land here, and we can always cycle our Ziatora's Proving Ground here. Okay. Sunset Reverie, so maybe a more controlling build here. Okay, we'll just let that go. So Obliterator would be a nice card to have on the battlefield, but even if we had a Tail Swipe, unless the opponent's got a big like monster on the battlefield, it's not going to do too much. So we'll just cycle our Ziatora's Proving Ground. We're looking for a Thrillseeker or a Riggin. Okay, there is Thrillseeker. And there's a Yargle. Alright, alright. Alright, hold up. We've got a combo here to win over the next 2 turns. I am slightly apprehensive in the fact that an opponent may have a board wipe, especially if they're playing a control build. So, I don't know. Do I play Yargle here and hope it survives till next turn? I just don't think the chances of that happening are big at all. Opponent does double block. Okay. Alright, well, they're going to lose their board, I guess. What have they got? Okay, they got to play with fire. Alright, alright. So, okay, so it looks like they've got damage-based removal instead. So that's fine. We'll lose our Shakedown Heavy. I think because of that, I'm just going to play the Obliterator. If they want to do 5 damage to every creature, 3 damage to every creature, so be it. So although I want to combo off, I just think they've got a board wipe. Just something is telling me that that is the case. Like a burn down the house. Okay, opponent is going to let us take our turn without doing anything. And we'll use a card from the graveyard. So next turn we can attack for 8. Okay. So I think we have lethal here, don't we? If the opponent can't deal with our board. If we play the Thrillseeker, yeah, this should be, what, 19 damage if I'm thinking this right through? Okay, play with fire to our face. Fair enough. So, yeah, maybe their removal spells are damage based. But we'll put the counters on the Obliterator here. We should have enough mana to do this. We'll attack the opponent for 10. And then... Alright, so we can sack the Obliterator to do 7 more damage to the opponent. And they've shown us they haven't got anything, so we'll also sacrifice the Thrillseeker and do an extra point of damage to our opponent. Yeah. Win out of nowhere. Alright, on the play, hand looks fine. Got a nice little curve here, and go for the throat can help us if the opponent has any threats we need to answer. So I guess we've got no green mana in our hand, which is of concern. Especially as we have a couple of Gwennas. Opponent with a Skrelv there. So maybe a toxic deck. Oh, okay, mono white. Yeah, hopeful initiate. Well... Okay, so we could, if we don't find green quickly, get ourselves killed. I guess go for the throat doesn't work. I guess Skrelv actually is quite a good card. I mean, Shakedown Heavy is a decent blocker here. But yeah, we're looking for some green. In fact, we're looking for some kind of gas. This isn't very combo-y, our hand here. But anyhow, I'd like to see them get through the Shakedown Heavy. Opponent with Anointed Peacekeeper. Okay. We'll see what they name. I guess our next play is always going to be the Archfiend of the Dross, so I would have thought they would name that, especially as we do not have the green mana for Gwenna. Go for the throat, not so great with Skrelv on the battlefield. So we're just going to have to get big and try and go over the top of our opponents, because if we're not careful here, we're going to get run over as the opponent goes wide. But they can't get through a Shakedown Heavy without the Brutal Cathar. I guess they could activate Skrelv to attack through it. That would be nice actually, because that would enable our Go for the Throat to start targeting one of the opponent's creatures. But there's our forest needed. Opponent did name Archfiend of the Dross. I guess we'll go to attacks first. Don't really want to attack here. I think we're going to have to play a little bit defensive. We'll drop Gwenna. I think if opponent had a Brutal Cathar, they may have cast it last turn, so Gwenna should be okay here unless they find a Brutal Cathar. There's Adeline, alright. Okay, so if they activate Skrelv, then we'll shoot Adeline in response. But I guess we've got a green and a black creature down now, so Skrelvs wouldn't do too well. There is an Obliterator. Interesting card. We can cast it with our Gwenna here, and then we can hold open some mana for Go for the Throat if we need it. But yeah, they're not going to want to attack into this anytime soon. So we're in a bit of a waiting game here. We could do with a fight Riggin, start pumping some counters onto our Obliterator here, I think. And if the board's going to stall out like this, we are a combo deck that's looking to do 20 plus damage in one turn, so we hold the initiative if they can't find a way to remove a couple of our creatures here. But fight Riggin would be great. But opponent with 5 mana, not sure what they're holding onto. It's another Peacekeeper. Wonder what they name. I wonder if they're thinking what else could be in our deck. They do go for Gwenna. Okay, Gwenna's ability is a mana ability, I believe. So the added tax from the Peacekeeper there doesn't actually affect it. And there is a Yargle. So opponent showed us that there isn't much removal unless they're waiting to remove something specific. But I guess we're just going for our combo here. We're just going to whack Yargle down, and then we're always just going to be top decking here for a Thrillseeker to win the game. So I think with that card on the battlefield and the red mana in our mana base, maybe the opponent, if they had the opportunity to recast the Peacekeeper, they would name it Thrillseeker. But I think we can attack here. We can start dropping our opponent's life down. I mean, they can block if they want to. And they take 6. All right, they go down to 14. So Thrillseeker's fantastic here if we can find it. And its adversary. Okay, so maybe that's what they've been sandbagging to get full effects here by pumping twice into the adversaries. So massive board here. A little bit worried about the adversary in the fact mainly that it's just going to gain life, and then a 20 damage Yargle may not be enough to kill the opponent in one turn. But they really don't have many good attacks here. This is Ziatora's proving ground for us. But yeah, this is a classic board stall that we will win if we can find the right card here. So I think we'll go to attacks first, and we'll see how the opponent wants to deal with our Shakedown Heavy. I kind of want them to give us a card out of this one. Okay. So they decide to not untap it. Okay, they're going to block. Looks like with a Peacekeeper and a Hopeful Initiate. The Peacekeeper is naming Gwenna. Just take out the bigger one. And we are going to cycle this anyway, because we're going to look for the Thrillseeker. Okay, Tamiyo Safekeeping, but unfortunately we tapped our green mana there, and Gwenna only taps for mana for creatures, so that was a little bit annoying. The Safekeeping could have been fun there to keep our Shakedown Heavy alive. But anyhow, we managed to lose one of their creatures. So what I'm really hoping here is that the opponent has a or taps Skrelv, and then we're going to go for the Throat in response. There's a Coppercoat Vanguard, gives everything Ward 1. So their board's pretty nice. They haven't really been able to attack. I guess they're worrying about the Obliterator. But they could just sacrifice their lands. Okay, they do just pass their turn though. There's Tail Swipe. Alright, that's cool. So that's a removal spell that we needed. So we just got to be careful here. So we're going to try and bait the opponent a little bit. Going to play Go for the Throat. Now I'm going to target the adversary. See how much the opponent wants to save this. And they do. That's perfect, because then we can use Tail Swipe on our Obliterator and the opponent's Adeline, which at the moment is a 9/6. And we have the mana to pay for the ward costs. So that's 9 damage to our Obliterator. Opponent has to sacrifice 9 permanents now, which is a lot. However, it's not game ending, as they get to... They're not... Well, they're not necessarily going to lose their whole board, but yet... 9 permanents down. Opponent name's White. Okay, so they're going to lose their adversary as well here. Odd end to this game, but yeah. Tail Swipe, Obliterator, fantastic. That's how you get through a board stall, I think.